Hello and welcome to the Bird Tales. It's another season. I can't hardly believe how fast summer went by. And frankly, I don't really care that it's gone because it's time to hunt birds again. I got Gilly with me this morning and we were just out ruffed grouse hunting for Minnesota's grouse opener. But of course, I'm not going to tell you about that because I have to tell you about my previous weeks of upland bird hunting adventures, which was in North Dakota for their grouse opener, sharp-tailed grouse in particular. And I spent most of the days hunting with my cousin Nick. So getting right into it, the first place that we hunted was a WPA. Right away in the morning there was like 4 or 5 trucks parked on the north side of this WPA, but it was a very big WPA, so we went to the south side and started in along the south line next to a wheat stubble field. And we did end up running into those guys a little bit later as we got into the section. But right away, maybe only a half a mile from the car, we're working along. I come over a little hill and a few birds get up ahead of us. And so I sprinted up to where they had gotten up, and sure enough there was a straggler.
Birds. First of the year.
So then Nick and I are just walking up a hill, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. It was like maybe because the birds were on top of the hill and Skip was a little bit lower, the scent was blowing over the top of them, but the wind should have been good, and he seemed just as surprised by this covey as we were.
More too. Here they come, Nick, right over us.
And I'm always telling myself during the off season, you know what, if I don't have a good point, I'm not gonna shoot. I'm just gonna let those birds go. I'm gonna wait for a good point. But then as the covey rises and comes right over the top of our heads, thankfully, just a few minutes later, we kept working on, and Skip had another good point, and Nick was able to walk up and shoot his first upland bird over a pointing dog.
Good shot. Stop. There it is.
After that, we headed back to the car and switched out. We went actually to a piece of state trust land, another great big section, and we took Gilly with us. But by this time it was I believe around 11 o'clock, so it was pretty hot, pretty dry, pretty tough scenting conditions. And as it happened, we're working along and collar buzzed. Gilly's on point, and I look around and I see him over there, and I had said to Nick, Gilly's on point. And then he's taking a dump, so I said, never mind, just a poop point. Maybe 10 seconds later, goes on point again. And I said to Nick, yeah, it's just another poop point, I'm sure. Well, Gilly had done his business, just went behind a hill and pointed a sharp-tail. So we crest over the hill, and just as we get over the top of it, the bird takes off. And it was such an insignificant thing, I don't even think I grabbed the video of it. But that was Gilly's run, and it was hot. He was pretty tuckered, so put him away. And then we headed to the bar to get a mushroom and Swiss burger. So we bummed around for a bit after we ate our food, looking at other spots, ran into quite a few other hunters, quite a lot of Minnesota hunters out on North Dakota's sharp-tailed grouse opener. And I can't say anything, I'm one of you. But eventually we decided on a WPA that was just way out in the middle of nowhere. I believe it was a 320, and there was nobody there, so that was our spot for the afternoon. So Nick and I take off and we head deep into the property. Well, as it happened, as we worked our way back and we're headed back to the car, Skip is just kind of nuts over on this brush. Like he does not want to leave this chunk of brush. I think he was there for, I mean, probably less than 5 minutes, but when you're standing on a hill out in the open sun, just watching your dog, just wagging his tail, looking at some brush, sniffing another thing, sniffing another thing. Eventually you're like, come on, let's do something about it here. And I watched him for a little bit and then happened to turn and just take a couple more steps. So I rushed up to where those birds got up, hoping for another one there. And luckily, Nick was right where a few more birds were. So those two birds flushed for him and he was able to shoot both of them.
Right. What do you wouldn't?
So now we're at 5. And we were at quite a few miles of walking, so we were really hoping to just find one more and call it a day. So I took Skip and had him work that hillside really good, and he was getting birdier and birdier, and I think he was just about to go on point when a bird flushed in front of him.
Straggler! That's a good boy! That's a good boy!
So then we had our limit, and we were walking back to the car, and...
Wait.
Can I? Yes?
Boom! Son of a... Boop!
Oh my God, Sam.
And then there's more. And then there's more. So we walked from there, a mile back, and all the way around, and from the top of that hill to here, 10 sharp tails. If we would have just decided to go this way instead of that way, we would have been done a lot earlier.
So that was the end of day 1. All right, now sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled hunting programming. We'll get back to that in just a second, but I need to talk about something really quickly. You know, I've been doing these videos for like 4 years now, and if you notice since the beginning, they got better as I got better at it, and then they got worse as I got a little exhausted by it. It's kind of like when you first start out doing these, it's really exciting and fun, and I like video editing, and as you do it again and again and again and again, eventually it kind of just turns into a chore. And so I was losing ambition to do these videos. And I was actually kind of thinking about maybe I'll just quit. Well then, this last spring, Pheasants Forever asked me if I would donate a hunt to be auctioned off, with the proceeds of course going to Pheasants Forever to be used for conservation, for bird habitat. And that kind of ignited a spark for me, maybe a light bulb moment, I'm not sure what you want to call it. What I've decided is what I want to do with this channel is to use it, any influence, any capabilities that I can get from it, from this small little thing that I have, turn that into a tool to promote the conservation of wild things and wild places. Beautiful places like this, state forest land here in central Minnesota, but also beautiful prairies out in the Dakotas or western Minnesota or wherever birds live. And so one of the things I did was I reached out to onX, kind of told them about my ambitions and what I wanted to do, and they hopped right on board and said, yeah, we'll join you in that. And so all season long you're going to see me doing this quite a bit. You open up the onX app, push tracking in the bottom right corner, and then you hit start. Simple as that. Pretty handy tool. Maps out the route that you've walked, but what I like is at the end of the day I can look down and see this is how far I've walked. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to keep track using the onX app of all the miles that I walk during my hunts. And so for every mile I walk, onX is going to donate $5 to a conservation organization, up to $1,000, which means for this season I have a goal of walking 200 miles. But I'm obviously really excited about this opportunity to use this small platform thing that I have to try and promote conservation of wild things and wild places. I'm gonna keep saying that again and again and again because I love it. And thanks a ton to onX for supporting this, and hopefully we can grow in the future. I'm looking for opportunities, so if people want to message me or put comments down below about ideas that you have for ways to promote conservation of wild things and wild places, let me know. I'm open to some ideas. All right, back to your regularly scheduled hunting program. All right, so day two. Day two is plagued with problems from me and technology, which was still technically me. But we started out the day with Gilly. So we go over this hill and Gilly runs down in the bottom and bumps like 5 pheasants. And it's not pheasant season, we can't shoot pheasants, so no harm, no foul, right? But I'm still pretty upset about it. We've been training on pheasants and he didn't even think about pointing them, he just burned through them. So I called him back to me and I was giving him the what for when
You whoa and a bird.
oh my lord.
Gilly's like, holy, I have never seen a bird of this magnitude before.
And now Nick is not an upland bird hunter. Nick is a die-hard waterfowl hunter. He's always chasing those dirty birds. And so, of course, he's got his license. He's a North Dakota resident. We're on a WPA. We're shooting steel. He's got his plug in his gun. Everything about this is legal, so calm down. So we weren't very far from the car at this point. I mean, maybe a couple 100 yards. So Nick just stashed those birds on the other side of the hill. So we keep going off into the WPA, looking for more birds, and Gilly goes on point. And a pretty good point, but it's right on the edge of this wetland and some pretty thick stuff. And we had just seen pheasants, and so I'm thinking, this is gonna be another pheasant, but at least it's an opportunity. He's on point, I'll go up there and flush it. When?
It's gonna be a meadowlark. Or a pheasant.
That's right, it was amateur hour out on the prairie that morning. I had forgot to load my gun. But luckily, Nick loaded his gun, and Nick is a pretty good shot, so.
Thank you for killing that bird. I did not load my gun. Oh my God. Gilly pointed a bird. Thank you for shooting it. That was embarrassing. Come on.
And I was extremely happy that Nick shot that grouse because Gilly really needs to get some birds shot over his points. He's been struggling holding his points. He needs to be rewarded when it does happen. But so that was spot one. Worked our way back to the car, didn't see any other birds. Then we came to spot two. Now we switch out, grab Skip. And then this is where things really fell apart because I had accidentally at some point switched this camera from video to time lapse. And so instead of nice, beautiful 1080p, it took a picture, kind of a low resolution picture also, but it took a picture every half second, I believe. When I got back that night to put the video on my computer, not only was I extremely disappointed, it was immensely frustrating to see that I had nearly 15,000 pictures and no video. But at least I had something. So what ended up happening is we went into this section, another WPA, and of course it was probably the best point of the whole trip. And I could just be making it up and you'll never know, but Skip went on point 195 yards away from us. And I kind of thought, there's no way the bird's gonna hold, there's no way Skip's gonna hold that long, but I'm gonna hustle over there. And he did. He held point the whole time. I got over to him, and the bird wasn't right in front of him. Or as a matter of fact, there was a bird a little ways in front of him, but it flushed early. And Skip stayed there, and I worked up, got a little ways in front of him, found another bird, shot it. And then Nick actually happened to work up a little downwind of where Skip had been on point, to the edge of this hill. A couple birds flushed in front of him. He shot those. Obviously I didn't get any of that on video. So then we went on into the section a little bit further, worked around, and on our way back, now the wind is at our back, Skip came up in front of me, and maybe 20 yards in front of me, he just did one of these like quick turnaround because the wind was at our back, and the instant he turned around, bird flushed between him and I, flew up over the top of me, and as it got behind me, I shot and dropped it over this hill. So now it's on the other side of the hill. I worked my way over there, and as Skip was going in to pick it up, another bird flushed, shot that one too, and then we were done. That was our limit. So unfortunately, I don't have hardly any video from that day, just gillies from the morning and then a few pictures from the afternoon. But thankfully, I do have more video from day 2 because Nick and his buddy Terry had permission on this sunflower field that was holding oodles and oodles of doves. So we went out there for the afternoon and managed to scrape up a limit of doves.
Right here.
Got it. Right here, right here. On the right, on the right, on the right. Right behind you, right behind you, right behind you, right behind you. I'd say there's 6 to 12 between us and Terry. Make that 11. I did not shoot because I would have killed the decoy.
Oh.
Wait for it to get past.
Triple tap.
Did you shoot that one too? Oh no. Right here.
Oh.
Ooh. Who shot? Nice. That was a long one. Done.
Right here, boys.
To the right there. Oh, we're in a big spin, Nick. Big spin. There you go, guys. Right here.
Right there up front. Hit him.
Oh, it's nice. No. Right here, right here, right here. Good shot. On the right, on the right, on the right.
Hit him.
I don't want to blow it to pieces for... I don't want to blow it to pieces. I think I could have got them, but and you were about, I'll have it.
Get him. Get him. There it is. Yup.
So on our third and final day, if you recall, Gilly has had 2 points and 1 bird shot over him. Skip has had all of the rest. And we've had 2 days of limits, so that's 12 birds. and Gilly's seen one of them shot over him, so Skip has had 11 birds shot over him, Gilly's 1. And so I was set. It was really cool that morning, high 50s, low 60s. Gilly is just gonna run the whole time. We're gonna take it easy, but we're just gonna keep running Gilly and get him on birds. We head into this WPA, and unfortunately, the very first bird that we run into, good point, I walk up, it flushes, I shoot it. Camera came unplugged. It must have came unplugged right at the vehicle. I think I know the exact moment when it happened. But so as you can see now, I've put a strap around it to keep it plugged in, so that doesn't happen again. But so I didn't get the first bird on camera. Just rusty. It's amateur hour out in the prairies. But thankfully, we still have two more birds to go. So as I had mentioned, Gilly's been struggling with his points. Even in our summer training, he was probably 50% between whether he was gonna point a bird or he was gonna bump him. And you can just watch him. He'll always have a point, but then you'll just see him get like, his tail starts going and he just burns in there. And that's exactly what happened here. And yeah, I could have shot this bird, but I had all day. I had no rush. I knew I was gonna shoot my 3 birds. Just let it go. We're only gonna shoot pointed birds over Gilly. And as it happened, I was standing on one side of kind of a ravine, kind of went down and back up the other side. And I'm standing on this side, and I really had to go to the bathroom. So of course, Gilly points while I'm relieving myself. I just got done peeing. Gilly's on point, right there on top of the hill. Whoa! But he is on the other side of this ravine, and he's probably only 100 yards away, but I have to go all the way down and all the way back up with a dog that I'm nervous about if he's gonna hold the point. So, thankfully he does. I get down, get up the other side, work around, nothing gets up. There's no bird. So I release him, he runs around a bit and boom, locks on point again, just a little ways further down.
Yes, we're done. Come. Good boy, Gilly. Drop it, drop it. Fetch it up, fetch it up, fetch it up.
So at that point, we were exactly 2 miles from the car, and all of those birds had went off back towards the car. So we just worked our way back through, and Gilly actually had a few more good points after I had my limit.
Good boy. Whoa, good boy, Gilly.
And that was it. That was North Dakota. I was out there for 3 days. We shot limits every day. It was pretty spectacular. The dog work was so-so, but it's the beginning of the year and we're working on it. As I mentioned earlier in that little interruption segment I did in the video, I will be tracking my miles this season using the onX app. And so here's my recap from the hunt. So day 1 was 12.7 miles. Day 2 was 6.2 miles, and day 3 was only 5.1 miles, which comes out to a total of 24 miles. Now times that by 5, and that is $120 towards the conservation of wild things and wild places. Thank you to onX for that. They're a great company and it is a great product. I've been using it before we started doing this because it works that well, and they value the conservation of wild things and wild places. So I would encourage you to buy the product, support them. Great company. All right, if you liked this video, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, go down in the comments and tell me about all the stuff that I'm doing wrong. That would be great. And most importantly, share it. Tell your friends or post it on Facebook or wherever you do your social media stuff, because any influence that I can get through this channel, I'm going to turn into ways to promote the conservation of wild things and wild places, which of course North Dakota is full of them. But always remember that the reason that North Dakota and other places are full of these wild places and wild birds is because there were champions for conservation who decided to keep those places that way. And if people don't decide to value those places and keep them for the birds, then we'll just get rid of them. So be a champion for conservation as well. All right, that's all I have for you. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for next time. See ya.
Look at him. Look at him. Hey, whoa, whoa. You are a prick. Damn it, Gilly. You found the biggest cow patty and rolled in it. I will be throwing you in a wetland. Come here, Gilly. Gilly, come. I'm gonna take this collar off.